Hey everyone, welcome to Financial Revelations. I'm your host, David Szafranski. 1-800-344-2534 if you want to contact us. You can call us anytime. Odds are you're not going to talk to me, but you may if you want to come in and meet with us. We ask that you fill out a fact finder so we have a little pre-information just to maximize our time. Kory, Corey at epsf.com. If you want to email us a question, I love answering user questions. We're not going to do that today because we have something to talk about. And then also, we just got back from the Amazon, and you can support the Amazon. You can go to nativosusa.org, nativosusa.org. You can even go on a trip with us. We're going next year, March 31st, we leave. It's a Wednesday. Don't worry, we'll be back before tax day and get your taxes paid. You can actually pay your taxes from the Amazon because we take Starlinks with us and you have communication. So you're in communication the entire time. You don't live in the jungle. You're on a boat. It has flush toilets and showers and a kitchen. We hire a cook who cooks really good food. The food is good. You don't have to eat from the jungle. You don't sleep in the jungle. And believe it or not, the bugs aren't bad. They're worse here in the summer than where we go. And there's a reason for that. It's a black river. It's an acidic river that we're on. It does not support mosquito life. I've been on brown rivers, rivers before in the Amazon. The bugs are like, it's how I imagine the end times will be. Of course, if you're watching this video, instead of listening to it, you'll see that I have a sash on that says, gives you my new title, which is, I hear this job is open, so I applied for it and they get Supreme Leader. I am the Supreme Leader. I've had this sash for a long time, and while I was on the mission trip, I brought my Polish King sash, and I wore it on the boat and brought it down for dinner one night, and somebody said, "Do you just carry sashes with you?" And I said, "Well, yeah." Don't you? I was going to wear it out to dinner when we got back to my house, but I forgot it. So I should have. Polish King, I have Mr. President, Mr. Universe, I have a bunch. I did this when I was on the radio. I know you're saying, well, why would you do it on the radio? Well, they were broadcast live on Facebook Live, and then on YouTube. And so it made sense. It was fun. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I think laughter is important. I think taking yourself too seriously is also one of the things that a lot of people do. And we could all just back off a little bit. There's a lot of things going on. One of them, of course, we have a peace deal, supposedly a ceasefire in the Middle East. I'm going to give you my opinion on that. But more importantly than that, I want you to notice what happened the minute we stopped hostilities. The market recovered, oil markets fell. Inflation numbers came out this morning. They were not great. You are going to get a temporary, shall I say, transitory bump in inflation while this is going on. It's bound to happen because oil went up almost 50% in a very, very short period of time, and that's a very expensive proposition. So I'm fairly certain that President Trump is aware of the situation and wants to get the action in Iran over. Now, I sent out a letter to our clients. You have to be a client to get that letter. So if you say, hey, can I get on that list? The answer is, if you're a client, you're already on the list. If you're not a client, you're not on the list. You're not going to get the letter. So I'm sorry, that's just the way it works. Aside from awesome returns, there's got to be some benefits from being a client here, and that's one of them. But in that letter, I did speak about why I thought this action was totally necessary at this time. Iran is trying to hide behind its ballistic missile program. So to get to nuclear, which is where they eventually want to be, they have to build up their ballistic missile program to a level where it's almost impossible to counteract. And what that means is that they would have so many ballistic missiles that would shoot so far, and they lie about everything. So when they say, well, our missiles only go 1,000 miles, they shot a missile at Diego Garcia, which was 2,500 miles away. They malfunction because, quite frankly, the Iranians are stupid, and they can't get this technology right because the Jews keep killing their scientists and their mathematicians that are working on the missile program. We owe so much to the Israeli Mossad. It's almost impossible to quantify how much they have done to keep the world safe. And you see, the Iranians, once they were challenged, they didn't just go after the Jews. They didn't just go after Israel. They went after all of their neighbors, every one of them, other Arab nations. And those nations they're sick of this too. And they've had it. They're fed up. They want us to keep going. They didn't want us to do a ceasefire. I think we did a ceasefire for a couple of reasons. One, I know that we have more military targets we could hit, but we're trying to force them to the table. We really don't want to do this. Iran has the capacity to be a very wealthy, prosperous nation. Now, I don't care if they're a socialist country. That's dumb to be socialist countries. Eventually socialism and communism run out of other people's money, and so they've got to do other things to get money. And you're seeing this in New York where they say, well, we don't have enough tax to do all the welfare programs we want, and so they're taxing wealthy people at a higher and higher rate, and people are leaving. That's what happens. Capital will find its least restrictive environment, and it's going to go there. It's going to go to Florida and Tennessee and other places like that. But I don't really care what their form of government is, even if it's a theocracy, as long as it's insular and doesn't affect the world. But they don't need to do that because pre the fall of the Shah, Iran was a pretty cosmopolitan place. You could go back and look at pictures and grainy film of what the people look like, and they were normal. They were like us. The women dressed normal, the guys dressed normal. They wore suits to work. They drove, and you would think women's rights groups, who were all liberal, by the way, otherwise they would be marching in lockstep behind Donald Trump as he tries to free the people of Iran. But they're not, because they don't really care about women's rights. They care about communism. They're communists. And this theocracy that Iran has is not an insular theocracy. It's an end times theocracy that wants to bring the end times. And so you think, well, gee, end times, give them nuclear weapons. What could go wrong? Well, a lot. And that's why we're doing this right now. But notice how the minute hostilities stop, markets pop, oil falls, and markets continue. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, my opinion on this ceasefire is it's not going to last. The Iranians are liars, thieves, and cheats, and they're going to do what liars, thieves, and cheats do. They lie, steal, and cheat. And that's what they're going to do, and we're going to resume hostility. And I hope we do. I want to. I want to totally neuter Iran. I want them, we killed, the Israelis killed the top leadership in the first strike, and we've been whittling them away. Every time somebody stands up and says, hey, I'm the new supreme leader, the next thing you know, they catch a missile in the back of the head, which is exactly how it should be. This is what we do. We have a military. We have this stronger than ever military whose main job is to kill people and break things. The third job is to act as a deterrent. The deterrence is, if you try and come here or harm us, we're going to go to you. We're going to reach out and touch you in a way that you don't understand is possible. And I'm sure the Iranian government, the IRGC and the theocracy there, are a little shocked at what's happened. Now, do you remember the first Gulf War when Donald Rumsfeld talked about shock and awe, and then they dropped like 10 missiles? Like, you guys are pansies. This is shock and awe. This is unmitigated shock and awe. This is what we wanted in Iraq the first time, and maybe we wouldn't have to spend 25 years there wasting away. Donald Trump did this right. I like the way he did it. I don't love going to war. In fact, I hate it. But there are times where you got to flex your muscle, and I think this was absolutely one of those times. And if nothing else, we are going to open up the Strait of Hormuz, which is important. But after we do that, we have to find a way to isolate that place to make it meaningless. And that is through the use of pipelines and alternative routes. And we're going to do those things, but it's going to take some time. So you got to open up the straits first. And I'm glad he did this because the Iranians have been the bane of the existence of the Middle East for 49 plus years. And that is going to end, hopefully, if we follow through with these things. And follow through is going to be really important. But I want you to be ready for a couple things. We're going to have some higher inflation numbers. They're going to be temporary. I do believe that, especially if we walk this through and totally neuter Iran. And then return the money to the people. Again, I don't want to send your kid to war in Iran because we don't like their form of government, but I would do it if they're projecting power and killing us. And I was in the Army. I would have gone. I understand the risk. I think we're doing it right. It's very difficult to do with air power alone. But now we have other powers that we didn't have back in 1979, especially with the way money transfers and works. We have power now to totally freeze their money, to lock them out of their accounts. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of governments want to go to a central bank digital currency, because if you can follow the money, you can stop terrorism. You can stop these things. Every time they have to pop up their head to hand somebody a bag of money, you shoot them. And if they're transferring money digitally, they don't have the opportunity. Now, I'm totally against a central bank digital currency, but that's the philosophy behind it. And they'll do it to you, too. And we saw this in Canada during the truckers' strike, when they locked them out of their accounts. They would not let them have their own money. That will happen here under the right form of government. We saw the Patriot Act get abused. We saw all these things happen where when the laws got enacted, we said, well, that's okay because I'm not doing anything wrong. But we have constitutional rights against unreasonable search and seizure, and those rights were violated. And that will happen. That's why you can't give government more power. That's why you have to give them less tax money, because they're going to waste it. They always do. Look what's going on in Minnesota and California with fraud and deceit with the learning centers, the luring centers, child daycare, and now in California, it's hospices. This is why you have to give them less tax money. And at some point, we're going to have to pay down the debt, and that's something governments don't want to do. Nobody wants to pay down the debt. You don't get votes on that. You get my vote on it, but most people are not going to vote for that. They want things. They want, bring home the bacon. So you're going to see, whether it's this week or next week or in 3 weeks, the strait will be open. And I think we're going to have to resume hostility there to make these things happen. But I want you to be ready for it. Remember, I have a button that says this. In fact, I'm going to give away buttons this week. If you email Corey at Corey@EPS.com, EPSF.com, Buy the Chaos, you're going to get a Buy the Chaos piece of merch. Buy the Chaos. I've been saying that for years. You buy the chaos because eventually the chaos ends and markets rebound like a coiled spring. They take off. And that's what you got to be ready for. That's what we do here. We're growth-oriented, unabashedly growth-oriented, high conviction to growth. And it's going to happen. The deregulation environment that we're in right now is extraordinary. Haven't seen anything like this in a long time. Tax refunds are up about 15%. You get oil back down and relative peace in the Middle East. And I'm telling you, markets will fly. You got to believe me. Hear me now, believe me later. Buy the Chaos. If you want the button, email Corey. Buy the Chaos in the subject line, and you're getting some Buy the Chaos merch, and I'll even send you a book. Look, I got a tight schedule today. As Supreme Leader, I have things to do. I am David Szafranski, a real American, a true red-blooded, gun-owning patriot, and the voice you can trust.